Welcome everybody, one and all. Got a great show for everybody tonight. Boy, got some pretty good news to talk about. Got some Kenobi news. As everybody knows, Kenobi is just circulating everywhere through the Star Wars community right now. Got some action figure news and whatnot here. So let's get into it here. First thing off the bat, want to give a quick shout out to all of our sponsors here at Rodian Radio. First up, we got Dr. Awesome. You can find him on Instagram. He is a Lego photographer. He's very, very good at what he does. Takes a lot of skill to do photography. You can find him on Instagram at Dr.Awesome_1010. Next sponsor we've got here is Commander Phoenix _88 Legion. He is a Black Series and clone customizer for action figures. You can check him out on Instagram at Commander Phoenix _88 Legion. And our last sponsor here is Lego Shock. You can find him on Instagram at LegoShock0451 Official. He's also a Lego photographer. He does great photography, great cinematic photography for Legos. Go check those guys out. We really appreciate their support here at Rodian Radio. But without further ado, my name is Chase, and tonight I'm flying solo. Danny is not able to join me tonight, but we're gonna get into this real quick here, and so we're gonna go over some news. We got today in Star Wars history, and let's get started. Today in Star Wars history. Alright, today in Star Wars history, we've got, on this day, 1979, Darth Vader and Boba Fett made a appearance at the Bib Company, which was a licensed Star Wars bedwear and linens company. Now, I've never heard of this company. If you have and you remember this, I'd love to hear about it. Let us know in the comments on our YouTube, or send us an email at our email, and let us know about that, because I've never heard of that company. But that is what happened on this day in 1979. Now, a quick thing here, just so everybody knows, we want to hear from you. If you want to send us topics to talk about on the show, if you want to send us questions to answer on the show, or if you'd like to be on the show, send us an email. You can find us. Our contact list is RodianradioPC@gmail.com. Our Instagram is Rodian Radio Podcast. Our Twitter is PC Rodian, and you can find us on our YouTube at Rodian Radio. We really appreciate. Please do us a favor and like and subscribe on our YouTube. We're trying to really build that up. And if you work in an office, or you have people you work with that you know are Star Wars fans, and you don't know if they listen to Rodian Radio, just ask them. Tell them about us. We really want to get our numbers up. We're here for all the Star Wars fans. This is, for Star Wars fans, made by Star Wars fans. But, alright, so let's see here. That's about all of the history I could find for today. Now, let's get into, if I can get my audio to work here just right. All these notifications popping up. Man, it's a hassle. I really need Danny here with me tonight. But, alright, so let's get into the news. Star Wars news. Alright, so this has happened since over the last week or two. First thing off the bat here, we've got Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen. They actually met up together. I don't know if this was before Kenobi was premiering production, or this was post-production. But Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor actually sat down and watched all 9 Star Wars films together, so they could get a better chance of our Kenobi experience, for them to be able to give us a better performance. So I'm excited about that. And not only did they watch Star Wars together, but Hayden Christensen had to go above and beyond to learn his role as Anakin after Revenge of the Sith. He went as far as watching the Clone Wars and Rebels, which was that's a lot of Star Wars for him to consume, to go into a role. So that tells me that he's completely serious. Both of them, Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen, both are serious about these series that they're going to be in. So can't wait to see that. And next up, we got some upcoming games that were announced in the Star Wars era. We've got a unknown Star Wars first-person shooter game and an unknown Star Wars strategy game. Now, if it's going to be anything like we've seen with first-person shooter games like Battlefront or even the old classic Battlefronts, I'm excited to see that. I like first-person shooter games, and just to be Star Wars is going to make it a whole lot better. In a strategy game, I don't really know much about Star Wars strategy games other than Apple or iPhone or Samsung games that you can download on your phone to play. But that's all the new games that I could find. And then we've got some new promo pictures from Total Film Entertainment. I've got some new Kenobi. Now I'll try to throw these pictures up on our YouTube for people to see these new exclusive looks at Kenobi magazine covers if YouTube doesn't take it down. But once again, that goes to tell you, it really helps, if you like, subscribe, and comment on our YouTube. It really helps us break that algorithm for more people to see us. That way, YouTube doesn't think we're a quote-unquote dead channel. So, but I'll try to throw these magazine covers up on our YouTube throughout this video so people can see them if you're listening to us via YouTube. If you're listening to us via audio, then you're going to have to just look them up for yourself. You can't see it if you're listening. But we got some new Kenobi promo pics. The first picture here is just Kenobi in his robe. And the second picture we got here is a dark blue background. Kind of looks like smoke in the background. And it's just a very close-up of Kenobi's saber. That's a really, really good picture right there. I really enjoy looking at that picture. Just all the colors blend together well. And we all know whose saber it is. I mean, come on. It's one of the most iconic sabers in Star Wars. Next up, we got some Ahsoka news. Ahsoka was rumored. I don't know if this is legit or a rumor, but Ahsoka has started production as of the late April range. We don't really know much on that, or Andor, or even Bad Batch Season 2. Maybe at Star Wars Celebration we're going to see a bunch of new trailers, hopefully for Bad Batch 2 and Andor and Mando Season 3, because by my calculations they're all supposed to be out this year, and we've not seen anything on them. We know that Mando Season 3 is finished wrapping production, but as far as Andor and Bad Batch goes, we've not heard anything. So, really excited to see what Celebration's going to unveil for us. Next thing here on the Star Wars news, I know a lot of people are not going to like this, and it just goes back to what I've been saying in the past about the action figures. Hasbro, they have once again have set this new thing to up their prices again. I know that Hasbro recently jumped their prices up about 2 or 3 months ago, and now they've decided they want to do it some more. So I don't know any details about it, but if a GameStop exclusive is now $26.99, I'd hate to see what it's going to be now with it jumping up again. My predictions is it's going to be around $28, $29.99, and a deluxe figure is going to go probably close to $45, if I had to take a guess. That just goes to back me up on what I've been saying about how just collecting Hasbro is it's not even a hobby or for fun anymore. It's more of first come first serve basis. It's no longer collecting. It's just a money gimmick. But last bit of news here, we got some more Kenobi news. This is actually not Kenobi news, but this is Sir Alec Guinness news, which is part of Kenobi. So don't know how new this is, but we've got some. Well, before I get into Alec Guinness news, we do have one little snip of Obi-Wan Kenobi, the series news. It's been released that Natalie Holt, which was the composed score for Loki, the Loki series, is now on the Obi-Wan Kenobi series doing the I don't know about the full, but she is making the main score for Kenobi. So I personally did not watch the Loki series, so I don't know how her work sounds, but from what I've seen from her, she's a very talented composer, so her and John Williams together is going to be a pretty good soundtrack for Kenobi. But getting into the Alec Guinness news here, we've got Sir Alec Guinness has come out with his autobiography. I don't know how new this is. From what I'm looking here, this is from 2018, but I just recently come across it this past week. So I did find this little audio clip, and I'm going to play it for everybody. And we'll talk about it after we play it. So let me get this set up here, and I'll play this audio clip for everybody. So here we go.
When a sweet-faced boy of 12 told me proudly that he had seen Star Wars over 100 times, his elegant mother nodded with approval. Looking into the boy's eyes, I thought I detected little star shells of madness beginning to form, and I guessed that one day they would explode. "I'd love you to do something for me," I said. "Or anything, the boy said rapturously. "You won't like what I'm going to ask you to do." "Anything, sir, anything." "Well, do you think you could promise never to see Star Wars again?" He burst into tears. His mother drew herself up to an immense height. "What a dreadful thing to say to a child," she barked, and dragged the poor kid away. Maybe...
I don't think Sir Alec Guinness knew how big Star Wars was going to be at the time. Oh, boy. You know, I wonder what... You know, I get a point. I get his point. You know, he says he looked at the kid with little madness in his eyes because he has seen Star Wars so many times. And to a sense, that's true. You know, if you're obsessed with something, it's always good to break it off. Because, you know, it can lead into a dangerous sort of mindset. But I don't think Alec Guinness, Sir Alec Guinness, ever knew that Kenobi would be as big as he is, because sadly he did pass away in 1999, if I'm correct. So that was literally right before the prequels came out, which made Obi-Wan Kenobi that much more popular as a Star Wars iconic character. So I just thought that was funny. I wanted to play that for everybody. I wonder what Sir Alec Guinness would think about this show here, if he thought that somebody's seen Star Wars 500 times, or, you know, however many times was bad. You know, here we are on a show about Star Wars. Oh, boy. But, you know, sad that we lost Sir Alec Guinness. I would love to have him around just to hear what he had to say about this upcoming Kenobi series. So, R.I.P. Sir Alec Guinness. But so that's about all the news, all the history we had for today. Now we've got a very special guest on the show tonight. Whether you are a fan of the prequels, you don't like the prequels, you've watched the Clone Wars, you probably know who Poggle the Lesser is, the head Geonosian on Geonosis. He had more screen time and more character development in the Clone Wars. But we have Richard Stride here in the VIP Rodian Radio Lounge tonight. Here going to speak with us. He actually played Poggle the Lesser in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, if I'm not mistaken. And he also played a clone trooper in Attack of the Clones. So we're going to sit down in the VIP area and talk to Mr. Richard Stride. So let's get to it. Welcome to the Rodian Radio VIP Lounge. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Hi.
Can you hear me okay?
Well, yeah, it is morning here. It's 2 a.m. my time.
My God.
Hey, dedication, my friend, dedication.
Absolutely, yes. I love the backdrop.
Well, thank you very much. How are you doing?
Yeah, not bad, thank you. Yes, alive and kicking.
Yes.
It's a lovely 7 a.m. morning. It's sunny and it's all working, which is good. So, yeah, really good.
That's great. I'm sorry about all the time confusions that we've had in the past. It's like a 6-hour time difference between me and you, so it's very tricky.
Yeah. No, that's fine. That's fine. We can do it.
Yeah. All right, so we're just going to jump right in here. A lot of people know you as Poggle the Lesser in Attack of the Clones and in Revenge of the Sith, but you also played a clone trooper in Attack of the Clones. Care to tell us a little bit about that? Because not many people can tell us that they played a clone trooper.
Well, I played several, actually.
Even better.
Even better, yeah. I in fact, I think I was half the clone army in the Empire. But basically, I was the one that fell out of the craft with Padme.
Oh, you was that guy.
I was that guy. But I was also the guy saying that we were out of rockets, driving the flying thing. I don't actually know what they're called.
I think they're called gunships.
Gunships, there we go.
Yeah.
Why didn't I know that? There's a shot of Samuel Jackson jumping off one of the gunships, and there are about 6, 7, 8, 10 clone troopers around him. I'm every single one of them.
And you were actually physically in the armor, Rod. It was not CGI?
No, it was basically motion capture.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so all the clone troopers were motion capture.
At least you was in a scene more times than any other actor was. So
exactly, you got it. Yes.
So there you go.
Yeah.
So when you first auditioned for your role, which role did you actually audition for first?
Well, funny enough, it was for Obi-Wan Kenobi's double.
Oh wow!
And that's what I was contracted to do.
I can see it.
Yeah, was to be Ewan McGregor's double, and I ended up doing his lightsabering because I'm quite highly trained in sword fighting. And ended up playing all these other roles as well. It was, I think I was a female droid at one point as well. So, and I ended up reading in for Yoda, as you do. I think there was a day when I was even Chewbacca, reading in for him. So I was literally just on set all the time, but sat on the side, and anytime they needed someone, then they'd give me a call, or one of the other doubles as well was there. And
that's a very cool job to get to play multiple characters.
Oh, it was fab. Yeah, it's fab, and it's a lot more interesting to do that, and you get to watch what's actually happening as well.
Yes.
Rather than keep going back to the green room, which is you're basically plonked into a room, into a room that is as lovely as it is and everything else, and you're well looked after. But it's far more interesting to be sat on set and watching what everyone else is doing and what's going on.
I can agree. So when you found out that you actually, got hired with Lucasfilm, what was your immediate reaction? Because I would have been screaming like a little girl.
Well, it was very bizarre because my agent rang me and said, "Can you get to?" I think it was at Ealing Studios or Elstree Studios in an hour, and I was literally on the other side of London, so I think I broke most speed limits to get there. And literally they told me there and then in the interview, so I didn't have to wait or anything else. So I was a little bit, I suppose, sort of shocked and thought, hang on a minute, an hour ago I didn't even know that I was auditioning for Star Wars, and now I'm in it. It
Wow.
was that quick. It was that fast. And I remember ringing my mum, and she said, "Oh, when's your audition?" And I said, No, you don't understand. I've just had the audition. Well, you didn't tell me." And then
that's great.
And then saying, "No, I'm actually in it already." So yeah, it was very quick.
It was an easy gig for you.
Yeah. In many respects, it was very quick and easy and what have you. So yeah, it was strange because normally you can wait weeks, months even, before you find out. I'm auditioning for a American TV drama at the moment, and I did the audition 2 weeks ago, the final audition 2 weeks ago, and I still haven't heard. So you can literally wait a very, very long time, and sometimes it is months. Sometimes it's you almost forget about the project, and several months later they suddenly go, "Hey, we want you to do it," or "We're ever so sorry, but you haven't got it." So it is strange. It is strange.
Now, have you always been a Star Wars fan before your job? Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I'd watched the films so many times as a child. And my first film to watch at the cinema was Return of the Jedi.
That's my favorite. Out of all the movies, all the shows, Return of the Jedi is my favorite.
Yeah. And I think I was about 10 at the time. And I remember being very scared in the first part of the movie because it was all Jabba the Hutt and the Rancor and all of that, and just being quite terrified as a 10-year-old watching the first half of the movie. And then when we got to the Ewoks, I was fine, and I was like, oh, okay, this is not so bad, you know.
Right.
But yeah, it was a huge adrenaline rush. I had watched Star Wars on television. That had to come out, so I'd watched them all in the wrong order. I watched Star Wars and then Return of the Jedi, and then finally got back to watching Empire Strikes Back.
Did you ever watch the Star Wars Holiday Special?
No, I didn't have that pleasure, but I have seen it since.
Yes. What are your initial thoughts about it? Because I know a lot of people hate it.
I mean, I think it's fun and it's what it was, and you know, you have to remember that TV has moved on vastly. You know, even in the last few years with streaming, and now it's interesting as an actor. You say to people, "Oh, I'm in a movie," and people go, "Oh, okay." And then you say, "Oh, I'm going to be working with Netflix," and they go, "Oh my God, really?"
Yeah.
And some of the TVs become almost bigger than a film. And obviously the quality of particularly the streaming services, but all TV has just gone through the roof. I mean, they're now spending probably the same amount that they would do on a big Hollywood blockbuster.
You know, I've always been a fan of the older type style of TV shows and movies, but I remember the first time when I watched the Holiday Special, I actually really liked it because, you know, it's the first time we were ever introduced to Boba Fett, cinematic-wise, and, you know, you had all the original characters. You had Han Solo, Leia, Chewbacca, Luke, even R2 and C-3PO, but a lot of people hate on it, and, you know, I think it's, like you said, it's fun. It's just a very good, laughable movie. That's Star Wars.
Yeah, very much so. And I think it's of its time, and it's, you know, and it's obviously cheaply done, and that, but, you know, it's good. It's good.
George Lucas actually made it in between episode 4 and 5 just to keep Star Wars alive, to have people engaged back into Star Wars.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Did you ever get the chance to meet George Lucas?
Yes, every day.
Wow.
Literally every day. Yeah, he was on set every day, and yeah, he was basically my boss, basically. So, he's a fun character, and I remember once.
We make tons of fun of him here, so we love the guy, but he's just so funny in front of cameras.
Yeah. No, he's brilliant actually, and he's got a nice, good, naughty sense of humour, and he can be quite playful sometimes.
Yes.
As well, he's a great guy, and he's got such great vision as well. You know, he really thinks, about the picture and how everything is put together, and just to imagine all those amazing things. And I know a lot of it is a collaborative thing, but you come up with the story, and he really worked hard on that to get that as good as he possibly could, and to get it off the ground when everyone else was saying it's a load of rubbish and you should bin it or burn it and what have you. But he stuck to his guns and he kept going with it. So, you know, credit to him, really.
You know, if he would have listened to people telling him, no, don't do Star Wars, just think about where we would be today without Star Wars.
Yes, and of course when it was written just at the end of the sort of the decline of the space race, so people weren't actually really interested in space anymore. You know, they got bored with it. They stopped watching the Apollo, rockets and things going off and that. So people were sort of pretty much going, I've had enough of space. So it's a strange time to even put that out publicly, but it worked.
Perfect.
And I think it's that fairy tale that that's what works. It's those sort of fairy tale stories of, it's a bit like Oliver and those classic stories that, the underdog boy or the underdog person then becomes wealthy, etc., or does well or achieves something. And it's that classic story that he's managed to bring in, and it is like a fairy tale.
Well, as he says, Star Wars was made for children, and it is storytelling. And just for him to be able to express himself like that in an age, like you said, that coming off the space races, it was very brave and bold of him. But look at where we're at today because he stuck to his guns. I mean, we're sitting here on a Star Wars show because he stuck to his guns.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So moving on to Poggle the Lesser, that's probably what you're most known for in the Star Wars community. Do you actually speak Geonosian?
I haven't learnt it. I can do the voice, as it were. But I did. Somebody once, a fan thing, came and spoke Geonosian apparently to me, and I was literally just looking at him blankly, going, "I have no clue."
Yeah.
And that's the funny thing is, some fans. I mean, I'm a fan as well, but I don't know every spaceship. I don't know every character name, and I don't know every in and out. And I'm not like a super fan. And you do get super fans expecting you to know absolutely everything. And of course, you sometimes. I remember somebody saying to me, "So where was Obi-Wan born?" And I went, "I don't know."
Right.
Planet unknown? I don't know. I genuinely don't know. And I remember having asking George Lucas, and George Lucas went, "I don't know." Okay, that's how I feel reassured because he doesn't know either. And you can't know possibly everything, but there are people out there that do. And in fact, we had a super fan actually on set for episode 2 and 3, and he was like our go-to advice person that we would go and ask and say, "Oh, X, Y, and Z about this. What's that in the canon?" And he would then come up with the answer, and George would be having to constantly ask him things and things.
That is so funny.
Yeah, because there is, he's invented a universe, and you can't, although you've invented it, you can't possibly remember the hundreds and hundreds of characters that you've invented and what their names are, or you can't keep all that in your head and direct a movie and write a new script and do everything that he's doing and sort out the fact that, catering hasn't turned up that day or whatever, not that he ever did, but, he's got so much on his plate that to then think about, what some character that only appears in Star Wars for 2.4 seconds and, doesn't even say anything, what that character's background and where they lived or etc. that someone has invented along the line in the canon, there's no way he could possibly remember all that. I certainly couldn't. So, that's why we have a super fan on set.
That's why we're here. I mean, we're on a show called Rodian Radio, and Greedo made an appearance for like 2 minutes, and that was it. So, I mean, there are super fans out there. I don't consider myself a, know-it-all super fan, but, I am a super fan. I grew up with Star Wars ever since I was 1 year old. I've been collecting over 20 years, so I'm a pretty big super fan. And just to sit and talk with you, because I grew up with the prequels, it's very dear to my heart.
Oh, bless you.
So I appreciate your work on Star Wars, along with all of our listeners who listen to us. We all appreciate your contribution to the Star Wars community. But so in the Poggle the Lesser, obviously that was CGI, but was did you have the green suits that they wear for CGI, or
so same thing, motion capture, etc. Yeah, so and sometimes it might, depending on the shot, it might be in the full thing, or it might be just an arm, or the top part of your body, or etc. So depending on what the shot was, and sometimes they wouldn't actually need me in the motion capture suit because they were concentrating on another character. So I would just literally be in what I am now, sort of thing.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So it depends on how they were shooting, etc. Are you in the blue suit or you're not? And then sometimes it would be green because it might be a different background to what you're doing. So you might have a blue suit on a green background, or a green suit on a blue background. And that was always quite the joke, are we green or blue today, and regardless of what we were doing, it was always whether we were shooting in green or blue, and sometimes the day would be mixed, you'd be going, because one half of the sound stage was green and the other half was blue, so, sometimes you'd be shooting on that side and then you'd move over to the other side. So yeah, there were lots of different reasons why, and of which I don't actually know why we were shooting on two different screens, etc. But I'm sure there was a logical explanation of why that was happening and things like that. But yeah.
With the technology like it is nowadays, I would just love to see what George Lucas is capable of.
It's very interesting, because I remember being at lunch with him and talking about the technology and where it was going, and he was saying that you in the future you won't need to costume actors, you just put them in a suit, and
that's where we're at.
And we're there now. So yeah, there are incredible things that you can do, and the fact that you can bring actors, dare I say it, back from the dead, and you can make
it's very scary.
It is, because it's so, in some ways, it's so real and it's so clever. Mm-hmm. I know that you still need an actor to do those emotions, to motion capture, but you do feel a bit like, is my job going to be eventually redundant? Are they just going to, end up digging up old actors, or are they just going to change you? And it doesn't matter what you look like, etc. And are we heading that way? I don't know. Maybe there's still a drive for real life, real people on screen, and but money is a big player as well.
Yes, it is.
It's very costly, and not necessarily just in their wages that you're paying out, but actually, insurance and all the other things that go along with it. You're suddenly having to have hair and makeup. There's a massive amount of people that put that one person on the set, and it's huge. It's actually, everything from runners to all sorts of things. So it'd be very interesting to see where it goes. But the one thing that is very good is that the quality of acting, I think, has certainly risen a lot. And I was talking to a casting director day before yesterday, and it's interesting to see that they're starting to open up more and discover new talent as well, whereas before it was very difficult for people who hadn't been in the industry, hadn't been known, to get seen for stuff, and that is starting to open up a lot more, and that's mainly due to the pandemic. They're able to see more people, because in the past they would do what's called you would go in and have an audition, so you travel into London, do an audition, and now they're doing self-tapes. Everything is self-tapes, so you now record it over Zoom, or you record it in your house, etc., like I'm sitting now.
Everything is convenient nowadays.
Yeah, and you send it off. I can, whereas before, I could do maximum of 3 auditions a day, and that was tough because you were having to travel all over London or wherever. Now I could knock them out one an hour easily, if I really wanted to. So, and I can do it all from the beauty of my lounge. It's simple.
It's a blessing and a curse.
Yes, you don't get the feedback. That's the bit that doesn't. So you do your self-tape, you send it off. Whereas before, if you were in the room, you would do the scene. They would give you a bit of feedback, and then you'd do the scene again. And it's usually the second take that they would use. But they obviously, when you're sending it off, you don't get any feedback at all. So, which is a shame. But they get to see more people because they haven't got to worry about bringing the person in, doing the same old chit-chat and everything else. They just literally watch the 2-minute tape, and they can watch 20 of those in an hour, whereas before they could only see about 4 or 5 people in an hour, and that's the difference.
Yeah, it's definitely a big competition nowadays.
Yeah, so you get more auditions but less chance of getting them.
Yes. So
the quality is being raised, which is good.
Right. So did you get to keep anything from the set of either movie that you worked on?
Well, on pain of death, if you take anything from the set, etc., but I did get to keep. So they signed my script on the last day, and I took that because George Lucas and Rick McCallum and that signed the script. That was basically, I didn't then have to hand it back. So I still have that.
You can make a ton of money with that on eBay.
I'm sure I probably could, yeah.
Especially by George Lucas' signature. That right there is easy, 500,000 or something.
Yeah, crazy amounts. I mean, the lightsabers were kept in a safe, and yet most of them were made of wood. I mean, they weren't. We used to joke and say you could buy better ones in Woolworths, at the time, because you press that. This is the thing. Everyone thinks, they must be amazing, and actually, a lot of them were just made of wood. And you try to press the button, and the button didn't even press. They make no sounds. They were just a copper pipe with, day glow tape round them, etc. They didn't make a sound, and we were constantly.
Well, from what I've heard, who needed sounds when Ewan McGregor was there, because he made the sound effects himself.
Yeah. But it was strange sometimes. I mean, the guns again. Some of the guns were just made of wood, and they weren't. You couldn't even press the trigger. So you were there, and you're in dead silence. It was like a library, and you were fighting this big battle, but it was dead silent.
It's kind of awkward.
So you felt a little bit weird sometimes going around, you wanted to make a sound effect or something, And the same with the lightsaber, which you felt that it probably looked really naff and really, bad. But actually, once they put all their magic on, then it changes it completely. There were a couple of times, though, when George Lucas put the soundtrack of Star Wars on, just to give us a bit more oomph to make us feel like...
More of a hype.
Yeah. So it felt like, yes, and get that little bit more energy. But yeah, you were literally... quite often there'd be some, random AD walking around with a stick with a ping pong ball on it, and that was your eye line for some spaceship or other character that you were firing at. And that is literally all you had. You had to really use your imagination of where you were, and you're in a big blue box. So, yeah, very strange experience, but yeah, good fun because you get to use your imagination a lot.
Hey, and you was there. That's more than what most people on this planet can say. Is I was in Star Wars.
Yeah, I don't think I could get my head around the fact that we were being paid to do this. I just kept thinking there'd be people paying George to be in this and do this. So yeah, it was
I would
great.
do it for free.
I think a lot of people would. But,
I would do it for free.
Yeah.
So that's about all of our interview questions that we got here. But with each special guest that we have a list of questions that just kind of pick your brain as Star Wars fans. So our first question is, obviously, who is your favorite Star Wars character?
Well, actually, and it is from being a child, is Obi-Wan Kenobi. And Alec Guinness has always been my idol. And I wrote to him, and he wrote a lovely little letter back to me once. And I wrote to him about just before he died. It was about 22 years ago, so it's about 2000. And I just love watching him in films. I think he's just absolutely awesome. And he changes so much. And he's such a brilliant actor. So I've taken a lot from him, basically.
One thing that I hope to see in the new Kenobi series is I hope the last shot that we see is Alec Guinness saying hello there to R2.
That's good. I'll text George and go, oi, you need to do this.
Yeah, I hope. I done said on our show last week, if it doesn't happen, I'm flipping my table on camera.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. Yeah.
All right. So our second question here is, who is your least favorite Star Wars character?
I think you know what I'm going to say, aren't you?
Well, this is Jar Jar, because that's what most people say.
It's Jar Jar Binks. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot
Although
of
I did
people
like
say
that
that.
theory that some Star Wars fan had that he was actually working for the Empire.
Darth Jar Jar.
Yeah, I thought, oh yeah, that's quite clever. Yeah,
It is clever.
that would actually work. So yeah, he would suddenly became more of a favourite if that happened. But there we go. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people say Jar Jar. So out of anything Star Wars, anything cartoon, movie, anything, what is your favorite scene?
I particularly loved the stuff between, and it's not necessarily one favourite scene, but I love the stuff between Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford. The little things that they would do, and I remember, and it's like little moments. I love the bit when she tells him that, you know, he's my brother, and Harrison Ford just looks away, and then she just pulls his face back to him. Like, what?
Yeah.
It's those little, I love sort of, rather than scenes, moments, little moments, yeah, and the rivalry between them was just.
They have great chemistry as.
Oh yes.
As love interest in that particular era.
Yeah.
You know, one minute they like each other, the next they're an old married couple.
Yeah, yeah. And it's just fab casting. I wish they brought more. In a way, I wish we saw more of that in the sequels, in 7, 8, and 9.
Right.
I wish we saw more of them, basically, and more development of their character. Yeah, I wanted to see a little bit more.
I think they killed off Han Solo way too early. They should have kept him alive until Episode 8.
Yeah, I think I think he wasn't that keen on doing. Apparently, even after the first Star Wars film, he wanted to be killed off in Empire.
Oh yes, trust me, we know, we follow everything Star Wars, and we see it all the time.
Yeah,
all the time.
I think he didn't want to last that long, as it were.
Well, you know, fun fact: in Empire Strikes Back, he believed that his character was being killed off in the Carbonite. And then, you know, it was a shock to him when, I guess it was George Lucas was like, hey, Harrison, we're bringing back Han Solo for Episode 6. You know, so he wanted to even be killed off, you know, then.
Yeah.
So, which is so funny to me. But, you know, we love Harrison Ford. It's Harrison Ford. How can you not love him?
Exactly.
All right, and so our last question here. This one is going to make you think. All right, if you could create your own Star Wars character, who would it be? And why? This question stumps everybody.
I think that I'd like to create a character that was, I suppose we hadn't really seen. And one that would be, and I'm not quite sure, but one that would either appear very good all the time, and their intentions are good, but they're actually fighting for the bad side, if you like, or but much more subtle than that. I find it interesting that people are very rarely very good and very bad. They are somewhere on the spectrum in between. And you can. Hitler was the most appalling human being ever. But it's interesting watching and listening that apparently he was quite good with young children.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Really liked him. And you're just like, what? And I don't know whether that was a lie or that was a publicity stunt or whatever. But people generally liked him, and so how does that intrigues me? How does that work? And some people can come across as incredibly good, but you give them a bit of power, and they can be good. They are good. They're really lovely, nice people, but you give them a bit of power, and suddenly it just all turns. But they still do it all with a smile and everything else, and still appear that they're good. But there's this underlying thing going along. So I would be interested in seeing perhaps a character like that, and yeah, and I'd like to see perhaps more different types of nationalities, different types of characters, and maybe even a disabled actor. You know, I'm quite interested in one day perhaps seeing a disabled James Bond, and I think
that'd be interesting.
I think that could be really cool and really work. And I think, you know, the more we break out of boundaries and everything else is really good. So I'd like to see sort of a little bit more diversity, a little bit more fun things being,
yeah,
you know,
that's interesting.
It's almost like we're not quite sure, where they are. And people do bounce and, you know, they move around as well. So that would be interesting. Seeing that, I think that would be...
That's a very interesting answer. We've never had an answer like that before. Most people say, like, oh, a droid or, you know, a bounty hunter, but we've never had that answer before. Actually, our last guest that we had, I asked him that question, and his answer was, I don't know. So, but he finally went on to tell us, but that question stumps everybody we ask, and I guess it just, you know, you have to think about it, but I've had a blast talking to you.
We now know what it's like for George Lucas, and he's got to think about flipping hundreds of them.
Yeah, as George Lucas would say, we need more Gungans. Yeah, we love to make fun of George Lucas. We love the guy, but he's just so funny.
Yeah.
He's just so funny. But I've had a blast talking to you, and we really appreciate you coming on our show. We don't want to keep you any longer. We know you got probably a busy day ahead of you. So, one last thing I want to ask you here. Could we get you to do a show intro for us for our future episodes?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So the read is, I'm so-and-so from so-and-so, and you're listening to Rodian Radio.
Rodian Radio.
Rodian Radio.
Rodian Radio. Right. This will be the hardest job I've ever done. You realise that?
Well, we're ready when you are.
Okay. Hi, my name is Richard Stride, and I was Obi-Wan Kenobi's double and Polka the Lesser in Star Wars, and you're listening to Rodeo Radio.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate that. All right,
Pleasure.
So we really appreciate you coming on and taking the time to talk to us. And
no worries.
We'll see you next time, hopefully, and may the Force be with you.
And you too. Thank you very much. Have a good one.
You too.
Take care. Bye.
It's another check for Daddy.